I'm a bulldog. So Georgia, who I'm picking. I love the family.
What is up, DawgNation? This is this is going to be a Let Me Clear My Throat edition of DawgNation's BeforeTheHedges.com. DawgNation.com's Before the Hedges. How's everybody doing on a Wednesday night live? Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. We have got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. First and foremost, it's kind of the big news of the day, the big news of the week, which was CJ Wiley's decision. He doesn't flip. That's what maybe most Georgia fans are thinking right now, but he decides, a little bit of a surprise, to commit to FSU. I'm going to tell you guys, I've been at a lot of these ceremonies. I think in my history, in my time here at DawgNation, I've probably been to maybe 3 where I had a good indication that CJ Wiley, or a player like CJ Wiley, was very likely going, or at least trending. My information led me to believe that he was going to choose Georgia. And this was one of those times, it happens, where CJ Wiley decided to surprise everybody. There was stunned silence. There was a situation there with CJ where his mother told me right afterward that they didn't know, nobody knew, and he decided to go with Florida State. Now, if you're in that room, basically you saw there was really, like they call, a pregnant pause, where everybody was wondering, does he have a magic trick? Does he have something he's going to throw out of his hat? That was what you were thinking when you were watching it, but no, he was FSU. He decided on FSU. Of course, the questions and the follow-up, and thanks to CJ for basically giving all the reporters on hand that sort of audience, but he clarified his commitment. He said right now his choice was FSU, and then he would look to keep taking visits. He said his recruitment was still open, but that was just something that he felt led to do. You see CJ there, great athlete. I think what it does, considering what you're hearing now, the feelings now with CJ Wiley, committed to Florida State, of course, that thing could go very much like the KJ Bolden situation there, where KJ Bolden surprised some folks by committing to FSU, and then Georgia played the long game. Kirby Smart continued to recruit KJ Bolden, and the thinking here is you just got to wonder, and you got to go, will Georgia and will Kirby Smart stay consistent, stay persistent with a guy like CJ Wiley? And I think that will be kind of the telltale sign. That'll be like what's happening kind of down the line with CJ. The main takeaway here is not Florida State bags an excellent receiver. In all accounts, likely the top receiver prospect in the state of Georgia for a while. But there's kind of a greater point here. The greater point here is, like, you see Georgia throwing the ball past 2 years, Monken, and then with Coach Bobo. Prolific passing, the stats are up. They have a Heisman contender at quarterback. The thinking was that Georgia had evolved its kind of street cred in terms of, yes, they throw the ball at Georgia. Yes, it's no longer ground and pound. And yes, this is a destination for elite wide receivers. And we must be very logical and very candid here. This is an important year for Georgia at the receiver position. I'm sure they'll get 2 very quality veteran playmakers at wide receiver, likely through the portal. But these facts, I guess, are indisputable. Number one, Georgia is going to lose at least 5, likely to lose at least 5 or 6 receivers after this season. You can go down the list. That's Dylan Bell. That's Colby Young. That's Dominic Lovett. That's Ra Thomas. That's Arian Smith. It kind of keeps going there, that there's a chance for Georgia. Michael Jackson, throw him in there as well. That's 6 receivers that Georgia could lose. And you have a perfect storm right now with reputation with the offense with Bobo and Beck. You've got the winning culture. You've got job opportunity, to say the least. But then the other thing you have there is you have a really kind of a zenith, kind of a plateau year for wide receivers in the state of Georgia. That's Travis Smith Jr., Lots of the thinking right there is, the connection there he had with Georgia, maybe not as strong as it once was, or maybe he's built stronger connections or just as strong of a connection with an Alabama or Tennessee as well as Georgia. So that one's very muddy. So that's a situation there where you see all that. It kind of shows you, Georgia doing everything right with Beck. Going to have turnover at the position. Just had Ladd McConkey drafted, who went from 0 stars to 3 stars when he signed to second-round pick in the NFL. You've got George Pickens' legacy as well, kind of hanging over things there. So there's a lot of stuff there that says this is the year, this is the moment, this is the time for Georgia to get those elite receivers. And right now with CJ Wiley, at least a temporary setback, it's probably, as kind of what we titled our show tonight, it kind of shows just how daunting it is for Georgia. It's still with Georgia to recruit the elite wide receiver. Now, I think with a ace recruiter like James Coley, Georgia's only going to get better at that. Remember, when Coley was around, that was part of the recruiting effort that landed guys like George Pickens, Dominic Blaylock, even a guy like Jermaine Burton. So, you see some of that, the recruiting that Coley has done in the past, and you get the feeling with what he's done with a lot of receivers so far in this class that Coley is going to be a rainmaker at the position. But right now, CJ Wiley currently doing the tomahawk chop. Travis Smith, maybe not as big of a lock to Georgia or as likely to Georgia as he used to be. All of a sudden, that perfect chance for Georgia to snag those wide receivers, the elite wide receivers from the state of Georgia, at a position, let's face it, is harder and harder to recruit because those are the players that really attract a lot of those big NIL figures. Shows it's not hard. Shows it's very hard. Shows it's not that easy to do, especially for a program, even for a program that wins like the University of Georgia. Guys, that is our show open tonight. We start our show. We try to find a topic so we can settle in and talk about Georgia football recruiting. First and foremost, I want to welcome everybody in to Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Got a big show tonight. We're gonna talk about kind of just how busy things have been lately with Georgia recruiting. Is it more than what it used to be? Is this a normal June? Is this kind of kicked up a notch? We've got DawgNation conversations with the newest Georgia commitment, a wide receiver, a really big-time playmaker out of the state of Florida, Tyler J. Williams. Not Tyler Williams. This is not 2022 deja vu here. Tyler J. Williams, he committed to Georgia today. We've got a good coaches conversation, coaches confidential maybe, about a recent Georgia commitment on Monday, Dontrell Glover. We've also got a chat with Georgia priority offensive line target Cortez Smith, fresh off of his official visit. And then lastly, we've got another key target for the offensive line at Georgia. We've got another DawgNation conversation with Damola Ajidahun at Duluth High School, not Decula, Duluth High School. That's a big-time target for Georgia as well. So why don't we start wading through these deep, deep waters of Georgia football recruiting together, starting off with how busy has it been in June? First of all, let's take a look at just this week. This week you've gotten 3 commitments to the University of Georgia, 1 5-star in Isaiah Gibson, at least rated 5-star by one service on 3.com. The 24/7 Sports Composite has him as a 4-star. But look what's happened since I was out in Redondo Beach for the Elite 11 last week. You have Isaiah Gibson, decommits from USC. Justice Terry, decommits from USC. Somewhere all those memes online about Kirby Smart stuffing Lincoln Riley in a locker got even more life. Charles House really wasn't a guy that I expected to choose Georgia, but Georgia had on the table. He chose Tennessee. Now, switch gears to this week. Dontrell Glover commits to Georgia on Monday. Isaiah Gibson was a big boom. Huge target for Georgia out of Warner Robins in the class. He commits to UGA. Yesterday, CJ Wiley, Georgia, LSU, Florida State. I always kind of thought it was Georgia, FSU. We've been telling you guys on that program probably since about May. That's kind of, we thought, mid-May, that's where we thought that decision was going to go. Weren't believing all the steam there with LSU. And then turn the page, we've got You can kind of have that song stuck in your head, what's going on. But Tyler Williams today, high noon, commits to Georgia. Tomorrow, Chris Ewald, a guy that was once committed to Michigan but decommitted while he was on his official visit to Georgia. He decides tomorrow, will it be Miami? Will it be Georgia? 28th, the hits just keep on coming. You've got Dijon Lee, a 5-star corner. Is he going to choose Alabama or Georgia? Then an interesting name on the board here, Alpharetta 4-star edge Julius Holly. He's visited Ole Miss, Michigan, Texas A&M, and Georgia. He's set to come off the board on July the 30th. July the 2nd, Tavion Wallace, FSU, Georgia, or Florida. That's where he's a Florida legacy, actually, the talented linebacker out of Wayne County and Jessup. Oh, and then, by the way, how about some more 2024 action? 3-star offensive tackle Jazari Jackson, 6'10", 300 pounds, just took his official visit to Georgia. He's seen FSU, Mississippi State, Florida, or Georgia. That's what that decision's coming to. We've been led to believe that's going to be on July the 6th. And this is a young man, obviously, overtime elite. That's kind of like a prep school that he competed for the last few seasons out of Atlanta. They actually have their headquarters in Atlantic Station. But that's a way that's kind of built and billed as an alternative to going to college. And what Ja Jackson did is he spent the last few years developing as a basketball process, but all of a sudden, last few months, he's decided to switch gears and see what he can be in football. And let me tell you, the University of Georgia got a chance to see him, got a chance to host him. That official visit went great, I'm told by sources very close to that situation. And now he's got a decision coming on July the 6th. Expected right now, I'm hearing, actually, that kind of decision event will take place in Atlanta. That's where the family was looking to make that decision as well. So very intriguing. And if that wasn't a busy enough June for everybody, let's go back earlier in the month where you saw on successive days Georgia got commitments from Todd Robinson, Christian Garrett, and the talented Talon Taylor out of Geneva, Illinois. So right there, 6 commitments in a month. Could there be more? And really what we've been led to believe the last couple of years was July was when it gets really, really busy for Georgia football recruiting. So that, my friends, that's the first segment. If that seems busy, if that seems like I had to go motor mouth to get through that, that's kind of what it has been like being the recruiting reporter for DawgNation during this month. Hey, nobody said it would be boring. Nobody said it would be easy, but it's been a lot of fun to cover and a lot of fun to watch. That was your number one segment on Before the Hedges. Let's jump to number 2. Now, we've shared a little bit of this, I believe, on Before the Hedges, maybe online, but you want to know, first of all, Coach Williams, everybody calls him Coach Boone, but Coach Williams at Langston Hughes, he's had one of the top programs in the state the last few years. He had a state championship team in the 2022 season. And I sat down with him when things were really starting to pick up with Dontrell Glover in Georgia right after G-Day. He is a former Alabama commitment. He was trending, in my opinion, to Georgia right after G-Day, especially when I visited him in early May. But I said, Coach, give me the real. What is Dontrell Glover all about? Do you think he's a good fit for Georgia? Why does Georgia want him? I tell you, you couldn't ask for a source or an interview to give you the goods any better than Coach Williams does right here on Before the Hedges. All right, DawgNation, Georgia just picked up a big commitment from 2025 offensive lineman Dontrell Glover. Bench presses 475, squats 515. What are the Dogs getting in Glover? We asked his head coach at Langston Hughes, Daniel Williams, that very question. Why does Georgia want him? Why would you think he'd be a good fit at Georgia?
Because I know the way the brand of ball they play at Georgia, everybody's kind of aggressive and stuff, and I think Donnie is one of the meanest, nastiest football players I've ever. I mean, that's the epitome of who he is, mean and nasty. He wants to be violent. He wants to hit you with his face mask, and he wants to hurt you. It's just, if you watch Georgia play, it's some of the same aggressive brand of ball that Georgia plays, we play here. And that is who Donnie is.
I think you know what Kirby wants, right? What are the two traits that he's got that Kirby wants?
Mean and nasty, violent, and very determined to beat his opponent in a nice way.
What did folks need to remember about the ESPN game last year? What was he doing to show off that mean and nasty?
He bent his face mask. I mean, that's one of the things. Like, he hit him in the mouth. He showed a lot of aggression, a lot of passion for what he wanted to do. He led his team offensive line-wise, and he just dominated Carrollton, and that's who he's been since he's been here as a freshman.
How does he take that 475 pounds in the weight room and just erase guys in front of him?
He's a mauler. You're going to understand you've been blocked for 4 quarters, and it's, he doesn't, if he does, and does not, I know he does not win every rep, but when he does, he wins really hard. He's very aggressive at the point of attack. He's very violent at the point of attack, and he doesn't finish until you're on the ground. That's kind of,
What does Kirby and Stacy tell you that they like in him?
His aggression, his physicality. He's not scared of anything. He wants to annihilate the blocker, the defender in front of him, whether it be a shade, a 5, a 7, a 1. He's going to find a way to hurt you and the backers. He does a great job with that.
You guys track pancakes or demolition blocks or anything?
If I did, he would have the school record.
15 a game?
Yeah, something around there. It was to the point where, we were getting blocking too hard flags. Yeah.
The stripes came over to you and said he's blocking the kids too hard?
Yeah, too aggressive.
What'd you say to them?
Ref, what we playing? We're trying to play for the playoffs. So that's kind of one of the situations.
Do you go over to him and say, hey, dial it down a little bit? What's the coaching point there when the ref says that?
Hey, Donnie, you're blocking too hard. And his response sometimes is, well, they're going to have to throw a flag today, coach, because I can't stop blocking hard.
Going to have to throw a flag today because I can't stop blocking hard. Guys, if that doesn't get you excited enough about Dontrell Glover, Donnie Glover, he had the tweet basically the day after he committed, the day if he committed, he basically drummed up excitement about, he was like, hey, way we're recruiting, the players that are coming, the players that Georgia is getting, he said we're going after 4 Petes. Dontrell Glover was once committed to Bama. Now he's committed to Georgia. 475 on the bench, 515, I believe, on the squat. He could probably squat a lot more. Mean, nasty, violent, physical, exactly what you would want for a University of Georgia offensive lineman. Probably could play guard. I think that's maybe where the earliest, easiest fit for him is at guard. Obviously, Cortez Smith is also looming in this class, a major Georgia target. We've got a segment coming up on Cortez as well. But really good stuff there. That was number 2 here on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Dontrell Glover, his coach Daniel Williams at Langston Hughes, basically giving you the goods. Kind of felt like John Madden style a little bit, listening to him talk about it, bent face mask and everything else. But, what can Georgia do in terms of you miss on a big target like CJ Wiley? Well, what they do is they recover nicely with kind of a one that was going down today. It went down today at noon from Tyler J. Williams. Georgia beat out UCF in Miami for a playmaker now. He's a 4-star. He's not way up there like CJ Wiley or Travis Smith are, but there's a lot to like about his game. We'll get into that later on the pages of DawgNation.com. But here's one thing that stands out. First of all, he caught 26 passes last season. And of those 26, 15 of those were scores. Now, I'm not a math guy. I don't have my slide ruler out here or a protractor, but that's really stinking good playing in Florida. He went for 22 yards per catch. He just got over 500 yards on the receiving end, and then he had 5 additional scores in the return game. He can be an X. He can be a Z. He can kind of play all over for Georgia. 2 big visits, one unofficial in April, kind of set the hook of his interest with Georgia, and then he came through on the official visit, and it was everything he wanted to see. He said he was up until 1:45 in the morning on Tuesday morning making his decision, deciding on Georgia. Lots of stuff here to like about Tyler J. Williams. Let's get this right, Dog Nation. I know Tyler Williams was a class of 2023 signee who spent one fall in Athens and then hit the transfer portal, and he's now at Minnesota. But Tyler J. Williams has a really cool story. One of the things we always try to do on DawgNation is to try to learn what these young men are all about, what makes them tick, besides being recruited by the University of Georgia. And with this one, it was kind of what we could not be any more honored to have a commitment story today with Tyler J. Williams, but also share what he's all about. You want to hear what he's all about? Let's listen to this right now on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger.
You know, football, man, is a rough game. It's a tough game. It's a game of violence. It takes really hard men to excel at it. For you, why do you play football, man? What is your why?
Man, I play football for my brother.
Oh, hell, Angel means?
No, sir. That's for just, all my loved ones who passed away. But my brother, he actually has autism and epilepsy, and he really enjoys watching me play, and it's really just my motivation every day to just go out and just play, and so he could be excited to see me play, because I know that, things are different. He will be the one on the field, and I'll be cheering him on as a younger brother.
So he's your younger brother?
He's my older brother.
How old is he?
He's 20 right now.
And what's his name?
His name is Trey.
Trey Williams?
Yes, sir.
So, Tyler, I love that question, man, because I've read a lot of stories about you trying to get up to my Tyler Williams 101 and 202. I've never heard that before, man, and that's kind of why I do what I do, man. I've never read that before about you.
Yeah, that's the first time I've actually ever said that in an interview.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing. If I'm writing a Tyler Williams story, I got to write about that. Because is that one of those things that when life gets tough, life gets hard, do you think about your older brother, and then you find the room in your gas tank, you find the gas in your gas tank to go?
Most definitely. He definitely motivates me. All my family does.
Is there something he says to you when you score or he watches you play?
He's just really excited. Like, he just loves coming to my games. Like, he'll just hug me and smile.
Do you hope to see him watching you play in college in the stands?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be at every game.
I mean, come on, guys, right there. And I think most of DawgNation will watch that segment. You guys that are watching it, not live here right now, I believe they will allow no flags on the play for Before the Hedges, showcasing a young man on an official visit to the U, wearing the U, and then future Georgia wide receiver Tyler J. Williams rocking the U's colors as well, because that's just, the story here of Tyler J. and Trey Williams. I mean, that's just the good stuff at sports. For me, for covering this program so many years, it is so very hard to stand out, to rise, to thrive early on at a place like Georgia. They compete at the highest levels of college football. And for me, I feel like the players that have the strongest why and lean on the strongest whys are the ones that really rise to the top, that really make a name for themselves and play great football and have great careers at the University of Georgia. We can tell you his star ranking. He's a number 4. I believe he's the number 363 overall prospect in the country. I believe he's the number 56, 58 wide receiver for a lot of services. But I want you to remember that story about Tyler J. Williams. He wants to wear number 3. He has a acumen for academics. They have a different program at his school where he went to school. He's actually got a new school for his senior season, but it's called the ACE program, I'm told, and somehow he has a 5.1 GPA. He's told me he's made some B's but never made some C's, and he wants to major in biochemistry. But you see him, he's a guy that can take a hitch and go, be very explosive. I think one of the best plays on his film is he's catching a ball on a short hitch, taking it 60 yards, and probably making the GPS catapult device scream 21 miles per hour, something like that. Really cool getting a chance to share that story on Tyler J. Williams as part of his commitment story on DawgNation.com. Hope you guys enjoyed that stuff there about Tyler and his brother Trey. Guys, that has been We're 3 elements down in our Big Five right now on Before the Hedges. Let's do this. Let's learn about a guy that has been a priority target for Georgia. I think one of the biggest things about his official visit this past weekend is Cortez Smith at Parkview wanted to make sure he was still a priority, that Georgia still viewed him as a priority. Center, interior offensive line. I know there'd been some kind of discussion, I guess is the way to say that, amongst some folks about whether, was it Donnie Glover, was it Cortez Smith? Folks, it is my perception here that Georgia would gleefully do cartwheels in the offensive line room to be able to sign both Donnie Glover and Cortez Smith in the 2025 class. He is still planning on a July 20th decision. You want to hear how that official visit went for Big Cortez Smith out of Parkview? Let's check that out right now here on Before the Hedges.
I'm talking to you over the years. How would you describe this official visit?
It was great. Actually, it showed how much foundation in the community, how much great people there are.
Did you have a favorite part?
Probably like the private meetings with all the education part and the nutrition and everything.
Oh, wow, really? That's a unique answer. So you were talking to the academic guys in your degree and then sports nutrition?
Yes, sir.
What was the things that stood out to you about those meetings?
Just how much they cared, even though I didn't even go there yet, but it just showed how much they cared.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you want to study at school, man? Have you thought about a major yet?
Business financial.
Look at you. That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's great. That even sounds smart. Did you get a message from Coach Cyril's? What was the big thing he laid on you this weekend?
He was just saying, we want you and stuff. How much equity can be developed here and, on the profile offense and stuff.
Can you repeat that last thing you said? I didn't hear the last word you said.
How much I could be developed under his wing.
Under his plans or under his wing?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I think one of the last things you do on your visits is you have a sit down with Kirby. What was that like? I'm sure he asked you those things like, do you have any questions? Did you get all your questions answered? Did you get all your questions answered?
Yeah, it was great. He answered everything.
Did you and your family have a lot of questions coming in?
Not really. Well, they told us a lot of things, so they kind of sit out.
Mm-hmm. Cortez, how many times have you been to Georgia? Did you keep track? How many times have you been in your recruitment?
9.
9. This is number 9.
Yeah.
Wow. This is designed for it to be the best.
Yeah.
Visit that you've had to Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Did Coach Cyril's talk to you about maybe center and guard, kind of versatile role? What did he talk to you about the role?
Mostly center, working guard.
You feel comfortable with that sort of work? You think you could play both of those positions in college?
For sure.
Cortez, where are you at right now, height and weight, before the official visit weight? What's your current stats right now on that?
6'3", 310.
310, you said?
No, I'm not even 315.
315? That's fine.
Yeah.
Have you figured out through all these visits the things that are going to really matter to you in your decision? Have you figured out your non-negotiables that the right school's got to have?
Yeah, you got to have a plan for your football players after they leave there. It's got to have a good bond with their players. It's like a community.
That's the main thing for you?
Yeah.
You get a sense that Georgia has some things like that, not just the winning?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Sure. Cortez, what's it going to look like for you now? I think you've still established a July the 20th date. Sure. Are you sticking to that? The only reason I ask is there's a lot of guys that have dates and they decide to smash them and just roll with it. What's your timeline look like coming out of this visit?
Yeah, I'm still going to do July 20th.
Wow, good for you. If anybody would hold his ground, it would be a center, A-gap guy.
Sure.
Who was your host, Cortez? Who hosted you?
Malachi and Dan Calhoun.
What was their message to you about what their life has been so far as a Georgia Bulldog?
They said it's great. Yeah. They said I should definitely consider coming.
Did they tell you how hard it is?
Yep. Like, it's really hard, but it's really worth it. How much it worth?
Wow. Cortez, where all did you go this month? South Carolina. You saw Clemson. Am I missing one?
I didn't go to Clemson. I actually went to Miami instead.
You went to Miami and South Carolina and Georgia. And did you take a fourth one?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So those were the four. That's your final four. Those will be. Have you started making plans yet? Are you going to have it at like a community center or at the school? Have you thought about how you're going to do your ceremony?
It's going to be at church by school.
It's going to be at church by the school?
Yeah, by school.
All right. Hey, sometimes that phone starts talking to me and says, hey, you need to pay attention to this. So Cortez Smith is a recruit that I think the Before the Hedges audience should really pay attention to. First of all, I've been amazingly impressed by this young man ever since I saw him start against Marietta High way back his freshman year. I cannot believe, I was talking to Cortez about that this week, I cannot believe he is already through the gauntlet. He's done his official visits. He's been a 3-year starter at Parkview. His 4th year will be this year. He's taken his last official visit. Some takeaways from that interview. Sometimes, guys, it doesn't need to be a supernova grand finale quote. I think when Cortez says, it went great, I think it really went great. He saw Georgia 9 times. That was his 9th visit to Georgia. Either he's keeping count or somebody at Georgia reminds him that they are keeping count. But he said it was his best visit. He said he was really concerned about life after football with what he's looking for. He's been to see Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Miami, and Georgia. That's his Final Four, and he will make his final decision known on July the 20th there. And like kind of the title of the lower third here on our segment says, I mean, you see Cortez, it is my opinion, is my belief that he still remains a priority for the University of Georgia in the 2025 class. It certainly seems like he felt like he was a priority on that visit as well. Another offensive line target to talk about, and it's our last one, and we're going to have to buy a bunch of vowels to make sure we pronounce this one right. I can't wait till I have to teach my buddy Brandon Adams about this, but say it with me. Say it along with me, DawgNation. Damola Ajidahun, Nigerian background, just picked up football when he was in the 9th grade. Can't wait to tell you that story on DawgNation.com. But he is a guy that has became a priority for Georgia in 2025. You look at the offensive tackle spot. You hear about all these things with David Sanders Jr., Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, and right here in Georgia's backyard. I can tell you guys at Duluth High School, the school that sent George Rogers to South Carolina to win a Heisman Trophy way, way back then, over 40 years ago. This is probably the best prospect they've had since then. It's Damola Ajidahun, 6'6.5", 285 pounds, can really get out there on the screens, blocking the perimeter run game. But this is the thing you need to know about Mr. Ajidahun. They do this test. Every line coach wants to see it. These guys get poked and prodded on visits. They do the wingspan test from tip to tip. They want to know how long your arms are. And Damola is about 86 inches. So that's about Shaquille O'Neal right there from tip to tip. We've got a lot of good stuff here with Damola. I went out to Duluth this week to hang out with him, to see what he's all about, to check in with him. You want to know a little bit more about Damola Ajidahun? Do you want to know how he feels about Georgia? Let's listen in right here on Hedges. Please tell me the correct way to phonetically pronounce your last name.
Damola Ajidahun.
How many times do people mess that up throughout high school?
Man, it's an everyday thing. You got to keep reminding them, but eventually they get it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoy football. It's just amazing, a great game. Gives me a platform to better myself, to be honest. And I do it for my mom, my parents, my family. Just just being better for myself, man. It's a great sport. It allows me to do that.
So when you make it, who do you have to thank? Who are the people on that long list of people you got to thank?
First, I'd like to thank God for everything He's put me through, giving me this obviously great frame. My parents for like always pushing me to be the best of my version of myself. My coaches, just everybody, just my sports system. They've been great. Family, friends, everybody.
How wide have your wingspan been measured yet? I'm sure every college coach does that, right?
Wingspan is 86.5, and then arm length is 36.5. So yeah, really blessed. So.
You realize that anything over 84 gets those college coaches' eyes like that?
I remember when I first got measured at Georgia, they was like, "What the?" And then, man, Coach, I seen them smile for the first time. I was like, "Wow," because I really know how important it was. So, but yeah, they just opened my eyes about it.
Was that Coach Searles?
Yeah, it was Coach Searles. Yeah, great guy.
Thoughts on him? Thoughts on Georgia? I mean, obviously that program's making a move with a lot of recruits right now. How do you feel about the Dawgs?
I feel like they're awesome, man. It's really just a winning program. I think it's going to continue being on a winning program. So it's just with the coaching staff that they have. I just feel like they're all connected. They all work together. They've been there for a long time. I mean, they're all homegrown. So it's just like a majority of them have played there, lived there. It's just great. It's just a great place, great people. It's just great work ethic.
What would you say you're looking for in the ideal school? What are the boxes that need to be checked for you?
For me, I want to do something with business. On the business school, good business school. So George's already checked that. George Jake's already checked that. So and then we just highlight the coaches are outside of football, because I don't want to be like, let's say a coach just only cares about football, doesn't care about the mental health of their players. Just like it is at that point, you're all in for football, and I just don't really make sense for me, because you have to check on the players outside of football and stuff like that. But yeah, and then just how my family thinks of the place. So because I want to go to a place where my family thinks less of the place, and then they just talk to me about it. So it's just first of all, education, how the coaches are, and then how the place is.
Tell me about the best play on your tape, man. What do you think the best play on your tape is?
Best play? This tackle pull. It was I forgot what the name of the play, but it was tackle pull, man. I kick out the defensive end is probably my best. I think it's the first or second play on my highlight, man. It's just love that play, man. Came with it right during the season.
Any reason why you wear number 71? Is there a reason why you did that?
I wear 55, actually. I just found this jersey because I couldn't find 55. But 55, I don't know. It's just because I saw, man, there was this dude on Georgia that was 55 my freshman year. I forgot who he was. But I just liked the number 5, and I just thought it was really great. So I just put it on. Mm-hmm.
Are you done with your officials? Are you done looking around? Where are you at right now in your recruitment?
In my recruiting? Right now, I'm just talking to my family, see what they like. We're just giving out, like, positives and negatives of school, just seeing how we love it, seeing how we like something could change. So it's just we're just talking right now, just seeing which one we like most. So hopefully I make the right decision.
Have you thought about when you want to make your decision? Some guys want to get that done before the senior year so they can focus on the season. What about you?
I think that's also a great idea for me too. So I'll probably maybe during the season, because I want to focus just on football after I already made a commitment to just work on football. Yeah.
Which schools are in it for you, and what do you like about all of them?
Obviously with Georgia, and there's so much to say. There's a winning program with a great ethic. So, and Georgia Tech, man, just great people, man. I really love that school, man. Coach G, Coach Winky, Coach Key. I feel like they're a rise on the ACC. Duke, man, high academics, man. I also feel like they're on the rise. We got South Carolina. George Rogers used to play here, so it's just a great connection with us. So great. USF, coach, that's a sleeper, man. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna be something great. Coach Hoodie, man, just great coach, young coach with a lot of experience. Really love that. Florida, I love Coach Sale, man. And ain't too much to say about that place too. Just great, just love it. But yeah.
How hard is this going to be? I think you rounded off your entire top 8, didn't you?
Yes, I love, man. I don't think I could really narrow it down from the top 8, man. But they're just all great coaches, man. Just hope I make the right decision.
I guess I ask a thought about Georgia. Like, what's the big connection there with Coach Searles, and maybe what do you like best about Georgia?
Obviously I'm an in-state guy. I don't think they want to see me go like anywhere else. So, I think the priority of me being an in-state guy is just really like spark with them. Like, cause I don't want to go nowhere else. They don't want me to go nowhere else. So it's just like I really think they really love keeping me in-state. And I think that's great about them.
So, message from Coach Searles. What does he tell you? Why does he want you? Why does he say he has to have you?
He just keeps bringing up the development piece. He says I got the right body frame, the right everything. He just really wants to develop me, and I think that's just a great idea from a coach. Man, just want to develop a player, man, seem at the best of his athletic ability. So that's great.
Last thing for you, man. Have you noticed the Dawgs getting a lot of recruits lately? Like they're trying to build.
I see it. Isaiah Gibson? Yeah, Isaiah Gibson committed. My dog, Dontrell from Langston.
You know him, huh?
Yeah, I know him. We played in the Senior Bowl together. Him and me and Bo.
Oh, wow.
Walker, yeah, he's great back, man. Just great people.
They talking to you? They working on you yet?
Man, we have a little group chat with the rising senior group chat. Yeah, just been talking about it.
Damola, man, really appreciate the time.
Of course.
Man, thank you for your time. Best of luck to you. It sounds like your decision's not next week or tomorrow, but it's coming down the track. Best of luck to you and everything you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There you have it. Good talking to that kid. Really liked getting the chance to meet that young man this week. And again, let me throw a flag on myself. Like I was talking up how hard it would be for Brandon. I needed to go back to summer school on that one. Damola Ajidahun. So say that 19 times fast if you want to get a Before the Hedges top fan badge or whatever like that. But that's something there. Like, so a lot of things in there. You heard like the influence of how somebody wore Georgia's number 55 at Georgia when he was younger. That was why he chose 55. He's in a group text from the Rising Seniors game with Georgia commitment at running back Bo Walker and Georgia's recent commitment Dontrell Glover as well. He likes Georgia. He sounded like he really liked Georgia Tech and a lot of other schools too. Another big takeaway is he's not really ready for an imminent decision. He's maybe going to make that maybe in a month or so, try and figure things out, sort things out. But name to know for sure, and I'll give you guys a little early sneak preview. Damola Ajidahun is in the top targets this week. So that's coming up in a little bit. Before we do that, it's time for the question of the week. What do you guys think we're going to talk about question of the week wise as we clear that big five right now? Our question of the week is we're taking a look at what was the big news of the week so far. It's obviously the CJ Wiley stuff right there. The question of the week for everybody out there is, do you think that CJ Wiley will end up and sign with FSU? Of course, there's the KJ Bolden parallel from last year. I don't know if that's, again, entirely accurate. When we started our show, I kind of shared some thoughts on that where, it's going to be up to whether Georgia will give that vigilant hound dog pursuit of CJ Wiley like they did with KJ Bolden. Anything's possible, especially when Kirby Smart is shepherding the recruiting effort. But, opinions matter. And like I said earlier, I've been at many a commitment ceremony. That was one of the few where I thought, hey, it might be a great reason to go out there and cover just in case this young man picks UGA. But this was one of those times where it didn't happen. And ironically, we had our dutiful, very hardworking, very capable Kaylee Mansell, who not only produces a great Wednesday night Before the Hedges, but she was out there live at the CJ Wiley ceremony at Milton High School. Kaylee, I got to ask you, let me get your thoughts. What do you think on this week's question of the week? Do you think CJ Wiley will sign with FSU?
No, I don't. I think the decision was made a little bit prematurely. There's a lot of time between now and signing day, and it's just a different day and age where I just don't think it's realistic for recruits to make a decision this early unless you're a quarterback and you're trying to recruit around you. So I just think there's a lot of time left, and I'm not saying that he's going to be a dog, but I don't think he's going to go to Florida State.
There you have it. Kaylee, Mansell's details right there. Kaylee's got a great program coming up. One of the many things she does, she wears a lot of hats for us on DawgNation, but she's got a program called DawgNation Tell All, where she tries to find DawgNation favorites, and she sits them down. Feel like I can not give away too much like Brandon and Cruz secrets, but it is a very Georgia-centric room where we sit down and we chill and we talk about the people. Initially, it's going to be the people at DawgNation. I think it starts out with the big band leader, Brandon Adams, but that'll be a great show. That'll be a great segment. Kaylee already is doing a wonderful job channeling her inner Oprah Winfrey on all those things. So look out for it. That'll be coming down the track before you know it. But I guess I'm asking all you guys to weigh in on CJ Wiley. Do I think CJ Wiley will eventually sign with Florida State? First of all, I gotta just point out one thing. Miss Mansell has now been to with her her dutiful work. I'll say that again. Dutiful work here for DawgNation, always on the grind. She's now been to 2 live commitment ceremonies for DawgNation, and she's seen the spectacle that is Mason Short and the Georgia On My Mind commitment, and now she's seen a very intriguing, some would say shocking, some have said shocking decision for CJ Wiley to choose Florida State. So she has run the gamut. She has run from A to Z, polar opposites. That's the highest of highs. What's that old wide world of sports introduction? The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, I'm going to tell you, Kaylee, they don't come a little bit more different or unique than some of those. So right out of the gate, you're catching a lot of decision day drama, to say the least. But for me, I think it's a coin flip right now. I think Georgia's going to have to show, continued wide receiver production. And I think they'll have a receiver this year, for several receivers with around 700 or 800 yards. I think Carson Beck might even challenge for that 4,800, 5,000 yard, 40 touchdown plateau, throwing the ball around. That'll be interesting. That'll be enough to turn a wide receiver prospect's head a little bit. To me, I think the bellwether, if you could tell me that Georgia is going to prioritize C.J. Wiley, Coley's going to prioritize C.J. Wiley down the stretch, and we'll see where we're at in December. I think the odds would be pretty high for Georgia right now. But right now, I think that is very much to be determined. I don't see LSU showing up here at all. I never really thought LSU was a contender. It was actually there was a time when he wasn't even going to take an official visit to LSU. So that's my thoughts on that. Love to hear your comments and thoughts, because that's what this Before the Hedges community is all about. It is talking about Georgia football and Georgia football recruiting every Wednesday night. All right, guys, that's been your Before the Hedges. That's been your question of the week. I gave you guys a little teaser trailer about a new DawgNation program that will be here before you know it. Now it's time to talk about our weekly food groups. We call it the fundamentals of every Before the Hedges program, brought to you by Kroger. Let's take a look right now at the class breakdown. And I tell you, Miss Kaylee, she's got some work to do. She's been filling these in. She's got Talon Taylor there. She's got Tyler Williams. Look at those wide receivers. She's got Dontrell Glover on the offensive side of the ball. That's your breakdown right there on offense. Georgia now with 16 recruits right now in the class. Let's check out the look on defense. Christian Garrett, Zayden Walker, Darren Akinabong, Isaiah Gibson at the edge position. Todd Robinson, still the only member of the secondary for now. Got some decisions coming up, of course, that we talked about earlier in the show. I must, again, we've been calling your attention to this for a few weeks now. Jaden Perlotti, he took his official visit to Georgia this past weekend, took some pictures, was styling, was profiling. You still continue to hear things that, for all intents and purposes, again, I call this a contested recruitment. He is very much up in the air, undecided about his future. You hear a lot of Tennessee there with Jaden Perlotti. They continue to recruit him harder than anyone. Georgia's also going after a lot of backers in its own right in this class. And while he is still a public commitment, I would say very much the Jaden Perlotti name here on the breakdown definitely is something that I don't know how much longer it will stick there in the long run. But that is your 2025 class breakdown. Recruiting snapshot up to 16 commitments. Again, maybe one of the other things to share about the Tyler J. Williams decision today is it put the Dogs up on the board. It moved them on up, George Jefferson style. They jumped past Notre Dame to number 3 in the country nationally. 9 commitments on offense, 7 on defense. 12 are in the SEC footprint, 4 are outside the SEC footprint. 11 of those Dogs are in-state. 5 of those are out of state. Georgia, again, will eventually probably come up with a good plan, because Isaiah Gibson is a 5-star for On 3. He is not a 5-star for both composites. So, again, On 3 does a great job with its rankings. 24/7 Sports does a great job with its rankings. We really like their aggregate rankings compared to just the singular opinions from the other national services. So that's something to watch. Again, Georgia now has 10 top 200 commitments, 5 on offense, 5 on defense. Nobody's really stacking up that many year in and year out in a class. You guys remember just last year, I believe Georgia had 19 commitments inside the top 200 as well. That is your recruiting snapshot. You've seen your class breakdown. Now let's take a look at the top targets. And you've got some names right here. Julius Hawley out of Alpharetta, former high school teammate of Ethan Barbour, who's now at Milton. We've got CJ Wiley still on the list. He's still hanging on there. He is an FSU commitment now, but he's still, I believe, one of the top targets Georgia can go after in 2025. He did say after his commitment ceremony that he would still likely give UGA a visit, continue to visit the Dawgs, check out Athens, and he would still be open to other schools recruiting him. So that decision is not shut down. Travis Smith, we discussed him a little bit earlier. Tavion Wallace out of Jessup, Georgia. That's a linebacker. He just had a big visit to Florida State. Of course, Florida State grabbed a lot of momentum out of that last weekend of official visits. They got a commitment from a guy that used to be on the just off the list out of the state of Georgia, Kevin Wynn out of Greene County in Greensboro. We could probably save that segment for a later time, but I wonder if everybody saw the turquoise uniforms that the Florida State program has broken out for their official visits. Very intriguing, very curious combination. I doubt that the new NCAA football video game will have turquoise as one of your colors there for the Seminoles. Another guy that just visited this past weekend, Jalen Morgan out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He's a safety. I think he could play in a lot of positions. I really value his game. Again, I've said it before, the quickest, most easiest bit of intel I can share about Jalen Morgan out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, is he's got a Georgia mindset. Number 8, Landon Roldan out of North Oconee High School in Bogart, 3-star wide receiver, super fast. He's a name that has definitely surged for Georgia in the last few weeks. Damola Ajidahun out of Duluth, Georgia. Just had a great segment there with Damola right there out of Duluth High School. If you want to refer back to it in our Big Five of Before the Hedges, I had the chance to get out and chat with him. A really intriguing guy. The wingspan stands out. How he blocks in space stands out. And, he wants to be a CEO one day. He wants to get into real estate, maybe finance. He's got a very good head on his shoulders there. Other top targets, keeping going down the list. And you're going to say it. We got to make note of this right off the top. This is the first time we've done a top targets list for 2025 that David Sanders Jr. was not number one. Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry have both moved up ahead of David Sanders. He drops to number 3. I still think he's a terrific player. I just think it's gotten very hard to determine, a lot of Tennessee, you hear a lot of Ohio State. That's a visit that it seems like the Ohio State Buckeyes are seriously for real in terms of recruiting David Sanders. They had some slick moves on his official visit where he wants to be an orthopedic surgeon. It dates back to his a leg injury he suffered when he was a freshman in high school that ended his season prematurely. And, they were able to connect with that part of David Sanders' dreams and goals as well. Juan Gaston Jr. just visited Oregon. You heard from Cortez Smith. And then Bryce Davis out of Grimsley High School. Bryce also took an additional official visit after his Georgia official visit to South Carolina. So there's Duke, there's Clemson, there's South Carolina and Georgia now there for Bryce Davis. And it is the question here that must be asked. If Georgia accepts the commitment of Julius Hawley, should he want to choose Georgia later this month, then that likely creates a logjam there at the edge position there for Georgia. Will they still have room for a Bryce Davis? That will be interesting to watch going down. But some of the published comments that Bryce Davis has made recently is they communicated to him about the eventual upcoming commitment there from Isaiah Gibson. He felt very much in the loop there, so he still feels like Georgia is doing him a solid in terms of letting him know he's a priority, keeping him plugged into the class. So that's something to check out there. Those are your top targets. And I think I consulted the joke book from Miss Mansell, who basically She said, I like this one. She says it looks like the just off the list did a 75 hard. She was graciously enough, the hard 75 diet. She was gracious enough to say, you can have that one. The first one's free, but I like that one. It made me smile, made me laugh. So we're going to keep that one and give credit where credit is due. You see DJ Pickett, you see Trey McNutt. Those are guys right now that I don't feel like Georgia is in the pole position for either of those guys. With McNutt, you hear a lot about Oregon recently. Dijon Lee is going to decide this week between Alabama or Georgia. Usmani Kroma out of Leesburg, Lee County Jr., he just took his official visit to Georgia. Lagonza Hayward, he doesn't even have Georgia amongst his final 3 or 4 schools right now, but that's a situation there where I think if Georgia pushed for Lagonza out of Toombs County, they could get right back in there. Ty Jackson, Ben Hanks out of Miami, Florida. He was a recent visitor to Georgia as well. Jonte Gilbert, hear a lot of NC State with him. Georgia just got back in the mix with him when they weren't even in its top 7 at one point this summer. He's got an August the 10th decision date as well. And then you got Nick Brooks there out of Iowa. Nick Brooks is a guy that you hear a lot of Texas with him as well. So that's your just off the list. Just off the list has dropped some pounds to say the least. Guys, I'm gonna take a quick look around the comment section. Let me hit YouTube first. Hope YouTube's doing great right there. Surfer Boy 3000 wants to see the icy whites with the white helmets. It's funny, Surfer Boy, I'm told that basically those are for official visit photo shoot purposes only. Georgia doesn't even have enough white helmets there to field the team as well. Tough stuff. I think the number is going to be up to 5 or 6 receivers. He asks about is Georgia taking 5 or 6 receivers. That's going to be dependent on the portal as well. Steel Dog basically points out that the 6'10" tackle is intriguing. Guys, I'm hearing a lot of things about that Jackson guy. I think he's the type of guy that I don't know how much of a project he is. I mean, he's got the feet, he's got the athleticism, the size is all there. Going to have to teach him the run game, of course. Going to have to teach him some of the finer points of offensive line, but he did play He did play football prior to high school as well. Doghouse Lawn Care weighs in. He hates any combo without the silver britches. Good thought there as well. Let me check on Facebook, see if anybody's got anything on Facebook. Eddie Burleson weighs in. Tom Lavelle, I believe there will be more flips both ways in the class. Let me see. How you doing, Maurice Carter? Got some comments there. Alan Verbonsic, how are you? Let me see. We got some people having fun in the Facebook comments. Sonia Prescott. Good job there. Sonia Prescott with a great moment of perspective brought to you by Kroger. Sonia says, I remember when Roquan committed to UCLA and Montezuma revolted. Eventually it turned out the right way without any Montezuma's revenge. Randy Hall weighs in and he says that Wiley will not end up at FSU. The man is making a statement right there as well. We see we got some Florida comments. We got a lot of stuff going on. Guys, thanks for joining us on Before the Hedges. We got a chance to talk about CJ Wiley, wide receiver recruiting, how it's just never easy for the Georgia Bulldogs. We talked about Jazari Jackson, a 6'10", intriguing 2024 target there for the Bulldogs. Kind of like the story like we've kind of never seen. I think the tallest Georgia offensive lineman on the record would probably still be Bernard Williams, who went on to be a first-round draft pick coming out of the 90s. We got a chance to visit with Cortez Smith, Tyler J. Williams, Damola Ajidahun. See, I tell you what, it's not the easiest one, guys. Forgive me for that. I'll get it after I get some more gassers and up downs, but really good stuff there. Had a chance to talk about how busy the month of June is, and also really good breakdown by Coach Daniel Williams at Langston Hughes about just what exactly Georgia is getting in Dontrell Glover. Now, you know what you're getting when you go to Kroger. You're getting that 5-star shopping experience. You're getting the chance to get in there, get your meats, get your picnic supplies for a crazy 4th of July next week. Hope you guys have a safe one. Hope you guys have a great night tonight. Folks, that has been your Intel. I'm Jeff Sentell, and we'll see you guys again later on the pages of DawgNation.com.